Alright, fuck an intro. What's good, YouTube? Today, it's kind of starting my first, I guess, official video. I would have started with a rant, just kind of as my experience with working in retail and just really being fed up with the 9 to 5 grind. A couple of key talking points that I want to get across in the video because I feel like they're important to me in the discussion are, one, just you not being valued on an individual level, managers and how they just can completely abuse their power to just make you do certain things and you literally have no authority to fight back. Third, customers and just kind of the interactions you're just kind of forced to deal with because you're in that environment. And these are the three main things I want to talk. Oh no, I also want to talk about, how because of the nature of retail and the, how time consuming it is, especially for, people who are full-time employees and, people who also have to work overtime additionally with that. It's just, you really have no time to, develop yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And yeah, these are things I just kind of want to talk about. If anything comes up later that I feel like I want to talk about, I'll obviously try to talk about it, but these are the 4 ones I want to get across. So starting with, I guess, the first one, just not feeling valued on an individual level. What I more so mean about that is just that, you show up, you clock in, you do your work, and you're just seen as a means of output for the company or whatever it is you're working, and that's really it. Sure, you have coworkers and stuff that care about you. I'm not saying that nobody just absolutely gives a fuck that you're there or things of that nature, and I'm not saying that people should always want to check in or do this, that, and the third to be like emotional anchors. I'm not saying none of that, right? I'm just saying it more so that at the end of the day, I know even with everything for what I do for the particular place I'm working at, not even just speaking more so as me, I'm kind of speaking more so broadly for, my fellow retail workers out there. It's just your work is all that matters, and even if you do a whole lot for wherever it is you're working, they can literally just like boot you for any particular reason, regardless of what. And sure, right, most of the people who are let go, they deserve it because they did something that breaks code of conduct or whatever, or breaks the law or something. Yeah, you deserve to get rightfully packed up. But it's just like, you could do a whole lot for the store and then it just not even really matter whenever you want kind of the same regard to be pushed onto you, like kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, because in the moment one thing might be particularly needed. Maybe you can't necessarily fulfill that and you make it known, and maybe you're like, let's say that you're called in to do something and you say you can't because of prior obligations or because something serious came up, regardless of the times you did an opening to closing, or you covered someone's shift or things of that nature. Because you're now inconveniencing the store or the manager at this particular moment, that doesn't matter. And in large part it is what it is, but to me, I don't know, like I still kind of feel some way about that, because it's like, everything I still do for the store, because of one particular time in which I just can't do something because of something that is more so out of my control, it doesn't matter. And then now I'm just like, a horrible person because of that. Like, to me, that makes no sense. Like, it's just that, for all I've done now, when, I want, like taking time off, right? You want to take a day off because of X, Y, and Z reasons. They get upset, and it's like, sure, the needs of the store come first, and in large part you are inconveniencing the store by doing that. But, it's just like, so when other people do it, it's really no issue, right? But then when I do it, it's a huge problem. And, we need all hands on deck and things of that nature. And it's just like, well, why is it me it's an issue, but for other people it's not? I don't get that, because, you, like, again, for other retail workers out there, you probably experience, people calling out 2 times, 3 times a week or whatever. And sure, they might actually legitimately have stuff that they're calling out for. And, that's fair enough. But I do feel like a lot of people kind of abuse that fact because, maybe they've been there for a long time and the managers have been more lenient towards them versus you kind of like, you're not necessarily the new kid on the block, but like you haven't been there as long as some of these other people. So like, you really can't get away with that kind of stuff, and I'm not that type of particular person where, I'm calling out for whatever reason, because, I make fucking pennies at my job. So purposely trying to make less makes no sense. But, if it's something I genuinely have that, I have to say like, I can't come in because of a legitimate reason, I shouldn't feel like I'm being villainized for doing that. But, that just kind of plays into the kind of like the last talking point I mentioned where, it's just like your time or like your availability is just out of your control, where you can't do certain things in your life, like I mentioned before, to progress yourself physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, because, you're tied to this job, because, we live in a society where money runs everything and you need money to survive. So, trying to do certain things where even though it may not net you any sort of financial gain, but it nets you something, like I mentioned before, spiritual, physical, or mental or emotional kind of, like there's some like net gain in that, in whatever facet it is you're pursuing that. Sure, again, it's not financial gain, but that is, to you, that might also be equally important, but you can't explore those avenues or express that because you're tied down to the job, and it's just, again, it's just another thing like I don't like about, and sure, this is an issue that is just beyond retail. It's more so corporate America in general and just jobs in general. But I really, like, it really feels like really apparent, or like you really notice it, like working in retail, where just time, like your time isn't yours to control. It's dictated by, your managers and, and like their scheduling. Like I try to take a day off because I was sick, and, my manager just like, saying like all hands on deck and just like basically trying to like almost like, again, like villainize me for like doing it. And it's like, I'm not one of these other people here that just call out for, whatever reasons a couple times a week, but you're okay with that. I'm calling out literally, this is the first time I've called out in my whole time of being there, and it's for a legitimate reason because I'm sick and like I'm just not, if I showed up, I would not be physically capable of actually producing the expected output that one requires of me, right? So like, to me, I feel like that's a valid reason. I'm not calling out just because like, oh, I'm not feeling like it, or oh, I'm tired. If I'm tired, that's all me. But I should have been more careful about time and got better sleep, or if I, or whatever reason, like, it's just like, sorry, if those things, it's just like I like those things I'm more in control of, and like those aren't legitimate reasons for me to want to call out or anything. But kind of steering away from that tangent, it just kind of sucks that time really isn't something that you're able to truly take advantage of, because again, you need to work to make money. Money makes the world spin. Without money, your life is just exponentially harder. But again, that's just more so how corporate America is, and just the value that we place on fucking paper, It's nuts. It's fucking nuts. But again, kind of trying to steer away from that. Another point that I brought up before too was, people that come in to shop at the stores. Like, I imagine a lot of people here who are retail workers as well, like, they have like horrific customer stories. And, a large part of that is just that a lot of these people just don't view retail workers as actual people. And like, that's just insane to me, the way some of these people just say things or do things, and you as the retail worker, you are forced to be the bigger person, because if you try to clap back in any form or fashion, like, you're getting packed up, and that's the end of that. Even regardless of whether who started the engagement first, because you responded in the same way, that they said those things to you, because you did it, that's it. And it's just, some of these people come in here and they just have attitudes, or they just treat retail workers like garbage. And it's just, to me, it makes no sense. And before working retail, I mean, I understood, like, treat servers with respect, treat retail workers with respect, treat anybody in any type of like service industry or anybody dealing with people, treat them with respect. That's what I was raised on, but to me, it's just so jarring now that people just don't come with that basic kind of sense of respect. And it just more so made it more apparent to me now, being in the retail environment, because now, like, whenever I have days off, I'm doing shopping or whatever, and I'm in a store, I pay extra attention to how it is that I come off to the workers and just people around me, because again, it's like, I don't want to come in there and regardless of how I'm feeling, put that on a worker, because that's unfair to them, because I don't know them from Adam, they don't know me, and because of stuff that's personally afflicting me within my life, that is of no concern for them, or that they have no involvement in, why am I going to put that energy onto them when they don't deserve it? And it's just, yeah, I just don't like how some people just treat these workers like, it's just insane to me. And even removing the fact of what they might say or do to you, even if like it's not anything directed to you, it's just like how people interact in public, and just watching that happen unfold in real time. Like, it's just insane to me what type of crazy shit you can just experience as someone who works as a retail worker in a store, and just some of the things these people do. Like, I have plenty of stories of just insane customer interactions, or maybe if not directly interacting with the customer, just seeing people just do certain things. It's just, again, like, it's just so jarring to me, because just like, wow, someone actually has the capability of acting like this in public, and just like, they don't have, like, they lack shame, or they just don't care. And yeah, like, I could get into like I said, I can get into a whole bunch of those, retail horror stories, like, common things that people have experienced dealing with customers, or, just seeing things that people do. Maybe I can make that as a separate video, or maybe like a retail files series or something. But, for the most part, yeah, it's just working in this environment. It's just terrible for the mental, because, just how little regard people just have for you, and just a basic lack of respect that isn't there in a lot of situations. Sure, people come in there, they say hi or whatever, they treat you like an actual fucking human being. But it's just, kind of like, with negativity, it sticks in your mind more than the positivity, and sure, that may, and that's a bad thing. You shouldn't focus on those. But sometimes, like, these people can just hit those chords really deep, man, and it sticks with you, and it just can like paint this negative perception of your work experience, your job, or whatever. And also the same thing too with if you have terrible coworkers, that's another issue too, where you can't avoid them, and you're forced to work with that motherfucker or these motherfuckers for 6 to 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, 6 days a week, depending if your schedule is that crazy. And it's just like, yeah, the same thing, like these people, just you work with them, and they treat you like garbage too. And depending on if they're management or they have deep ties with the management, like people can overlook a lot of crazy things if they have connections with certain people or something like that, right? People can overlook a lot of certain things. And it's the same thing too, like I have stories about management and the fucked up kind of situations they get themselves in, all that type of bullshit. And it's just insane too, and it sucks having shitty coworkers, because again, you're there with them for 6 to 8 hours and you can't do anything about it. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that concludes everything I want to say. It's kind of a scuffed video because there was no type of planning or anything that went into it, just kind of like a offhand decision to make this, because kind of just something I wanted to get off my chest, because I've had these feelings for a little bit, and it's just like, it never really, it's not up to anyone's benefit to bottle certain things up inside, especially some things that they really want to get off, because even if it's not a physical outward projection of something, subconsciously it still manages to work itself out. And oftentimes we're most dangerous when we're not even aware of the harm that we're causing people, whether it be physically, spiritually, emotionally, things of that nature. So I always like talking about stuff, because that's how I sort of deal with it and compartmentalize it. Yeah, I never just want to keep things that are bothering me just like kind of in my head, because then those work themselves out in ways in which I'm not aware of until someone checks my shit, and it's just like, yo, I didn't even know that, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing that. And that's like the worst. Like I said before, like you do certain things, and it causes someone, maybe not like deep turmoil, but it bothers them, and they just have to check you on your shit. And it's just like, yeah, thank you. I didn't know I was acting like a dickhead in that situation. I didn't even realize. But because of various things that are happening in my life and not properly dealing with them or having avenues to deal with them, they're now working themselves out in ways in which I'm not even aware of. And yeah, but yeah, I was probably going to conclude what it is this video was about. I feel like there was more I wanted to say, but I'm not sure how I'd actually be able to put those in like coherent sentences, because it's more so just like floating ideas. I probably need more time to sit down and think about it. Maybe I'll come back and do like a part 2 to this. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just talk about these things. All right, YouTube. See ya.